on the menu here, what are you talking about?
Property plant and protection.
Property plant?
Property plants and protection.
Going live again.
Good evening, everybody. Everybody have fun today? Ready to learn some new stuff, maybe some old stuff that we already know? Ready to wash it myself. I know I've probably burnt plants, sorted out plugs, all that. That's what we're here this evening to teach y'all about with the Jackson trade, Jarrell. He's a good guy. If you was here last year, raise your hand. Wow, we got a lot of new people. Well, y'all ready for a trick? I'm just going to turn it over to him, let him do his thing. He's got slides and everything, show you what to do, what you don't do. He's got some stuff that he uses. Follow his lead, because he's done the same thing some of us have done, is messing stuff up. Thank y'all. I got trouble. We got the queen coming up to do the paint. Stuff that's had a lot of problems out of it. And I also see a lot of people on Facebook, they'll wash a house and then they'll put on there, what happened, what happened? First thing I say, did you test it? No. So, you know, a lot of information here. Write it down, record whatever you have to do, but it's gonna be fun.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, Ryan. I'm Jarrell. I own Jackson Trades Pressure Washing. We'll just roll right into it. I started out part-time in 2011. I was working for a pest control company, and I just started doing small jobs here and there for whatever my customers were needing. I was doing a little bit of everything. I did interior cleaning, I did small landscape jobs, I was washing cars, just whatever I could do to make ends meet. This is probably 2012, making $12.50 an hour, so I was struggling. That's when I first started doing pressure washing. I bought my first pressure washer, 2 gallons a minute, probably 1100 PSI, whatever this little thing right here is. This is literally how I started. This is my nephew. This is the only picture I have from that time frame, so I just run with it. But yeah, that's how I literally started right there. That little guy, and that little pressure washer right there. This was the trailer I was living in at the time, and I figured I rented the pressure washer for $75 or whatever it was, so I went and bought that one. And I washed my first driveway, and it took me 7.5 hours. So that was fun. I kind of just explained all of that, and I literally typed it on that little back rack of the Jeep. We fast forward until 2020. From 2012 to 2020, I was in law enforcement. I got out of law enforcement. I started a second company with a buddy of mine doing commercial lawn maintenance. After 9 months of owning a business with your buddy, I shut that jewel down and started running. I went back to just running Jackson Trades myself. I was doing approximately 25 yards and still doing pressure washing, landscaping, and mulch. Basically, that's what I still do. I still do lawn maintenance. I'm teetering more out of that and getting more into pressure washing full time. Today, I run a 16-foot tandem action trailer, 4 gallon a minute with heat. That doesn't work right now. 8 gallons a minute. Bandit pressure washer, soft wash, flow pro, 525 gallon tank, 100 gallon SH tank. I got 1 soap, 1 neutralizer, and I have 4 different reels. And I think I still have about 40 yards of lawn maintenance. I build those out 12 months out of the year, same amount all year round, so I've got a little bit of a cushion this time of year when it slows down. And there I am after just doing this project, so that's my setup right there now. Anyways, enough about me. Let's talk about property plant protection. Why we do it, the liability that's involved in it, insurance rates are already sky high anyways, looking to maybe minimize some of that. The cost to replace it, of course, digs into your profit margins, and then the time that it takes to repair anything that you damage. If you blow out a light socket or whatever, get an electrician over there, you have to pay all that. Of course, we got the Karens on Facebook that likes to blast us at any chance they get. And then ultimately, like I just said, it just leads to more money out of your pocket if you're constantly repairing plants or electrical sockets or fans or whatever. So ways to reduce that is to reduce the risk. We have, you can make them sign liability waivers. Those are still kind of fishy because you still want to do the right thing by fixing whatever you messed up. Even if you give them a liability waiver and you burn out their ceiling fan or the socket or kill their plants on the front porch, you still probably will feel some type of obligation to fix it. So those will help as far as if it's anything big, maybe if you have to go to court or whatever, but I would still feel some type of obligation to fix the problem that I caused. The biggest way to reduce anything is always to talk to the customer about leaking doors, windows, open receptacles, light fixtures, and etc. The ways that I do it is I literally carry this little thing because I can never figure out I was always ripping off tape and sitting it down or whatever, so I always keep zip ties, gloves, trash bags, and then new this year I've started this shower caps because they're super cheap. They always work good. I'll show how I use this lid in a minute. This is probably single-handedly saving me the most money. I'll show all that in a slide in a minute. And then last year I didn't bring none of these, but these are just kind of things, they just make people feel good. I mean, the sign is advertisement, but it just makes people feel like you care. Kind of like the cone in the road. I don't know, maybe the police won't mess with you as much if you got the cone in the road, but it just kind of gives you a more professional look. I literally have the same place where my truck was parked in front of was a big golf course, and I had the lady who was over maintenance. She's like, "You need to put out your little sign. It makes people feel good." I'm like, all right, so that's why I have that. But it is still good advertising, especially if you're in the neighborhood and your truck's parked in the road. You can put it right by the end of your truck, and then people are driving by. I didn't have time, but I'm gonna put a QR code right here, so super easy for people to go by, scan your QR code, and they can just add your information in to their phone. Let's see. Other ways, that you can prevent, of course, is using neutralizing products, rinsing plants before and after during your application. Use only the necessary amount of SH. Yeah, they're putting 6% on everything on Japanese maples. Use right equipment. Use professional products. And again, I can't emphasize just talking to the customer because they know more about their house than anybody. This was actually my old truck, but that's how I had it all set up. This was at a customer's house. Again, I always say the number one thing is just to talk to the customer because this is not something I did. This was a broken glass. I could easily shot water all in there. I wound up just throwing a trash bag over this and taping it here and here. This guy, same thing. He just let me know that, hey, my back door is leaking. So I just tape it all the way around. Cheap, tape is so cheap anyways. I'll pull it off in big strips every time, and they don't have to be pretty when you do it, as long as it works. This particular setup is pretty popular in where I was watching, and literally while I was out the tree about teaching the classes, because it's just kind of it's just shitty work with a contractor. I don't know how to say it. It's just these big open gaps in between here. It's all leaking. All these you have to just cut them in. Although there is a seal right there, if you're dumping 11 gallons a minute of water on there, it's going to seep through there. And bleach being a conductor of electricity, it's always going to cause some issues. These outdoor covers. This thing was not mine. These outdoor covers, I find it very common that these things don't even have nothing on them. So you're just going to shoot water all in here, and it's going to either trip this GFI or it's going to just short it out all the way. It's just going to cause you more headache and problems than dealing with the customer on it. The GFI trips is not that big of a deal. You have to wait for it to dry out, and then you just go back and reset it. But it's still all time, and time is money, as we know that. I always go back after, if I can, just kind of when I'm taking everything off and make sure that it must not trip, because it's probably going to be an old lady that hurts is tripping in her garage, and then her garage door is not going to open. You're just going to have to go back. It's not necessarily that you cause electrical damage, but it's just causing kind of an inconvenience for you to make that trip back. And this is some of my good work, as I'm up here teaching about this. This was literally 2 days before I taught the class last year. I had that socket to bring, and I don't know what happened to it. This thing was behind, there's a fern right here, and it was right behind there. And I made that beautiful artwork there for the electrician to come back. He come back and changed the socket. But I literally did that myself. I'm pretty proud of that, actually. This is another super common thing. This is just like a light on the outdoor or garage or whatever. But all these little cracks right here cause huge problem because that water, it's not necessarily the water getting there, it's the amount of water getting in there. If you're running 8, 10, 12, whatever gallons a minute. This is some awesome work right here from the same contractor. Again, it's like we're just picking up the slack of somebody else's lack of good work in a very nice way, I'll say it. That's the same little pouch thing that I had there. I was just showing this. I use this one just fine on that. A different kind of tape that'll stick the stuff up. And then the gloves. And the camera system. This is one that you can borrow, but I mean, this thing just looks expensive, but you can just see the amount of wires. This wire would be running through the wall, but then you've got all the cracks and everything in here, all these cracks that have to be, sealed up. All this along the back, you could just throw a shower cap over and tape it on the bottom. It's super easy, but cameras are so huge now. Everybody's got cameras and they're so expensive. So again, it doesn't have to be pretty. It just kind of has to work. The gloves work really good on cameras too, because you can just wrap them around and run a piece of tape right on the top. This is all just stuff that I've taped up on jobs. And the reason I showed this slide is these are just fuse boxes, or these are just, I guess, the fuse boxes for the air conditioners or whatever, but people don't really think about it. And then my buddy sends me this where he didn't cover up a generator and burn it up. I think that cost me $2,000. This was actually just last week that I took this picture, but that's just a shower cap, and then I just ran that piece of tape across. Again, you're not. It's not going to waterproof it, but it's certainly going to reduce the risk. Again, the same thing. I don't know about that word, but it just ran from. I'm trying to keep this like PG-13. I'm like live on Facebook over here.
Yeah, let's go for mine.
Yeah. But this ran the hot water for this house. This is one of 3 actually on this house, but this ran hot water to this house. So you can imagine if you burn up this light socket, then Karen's going to be out of water for the night. These little recessed lights are kind of a pain in the butt with vinyl because they put the light, this is the outline of the light, and then the water runs right down that ridge and right down the back side of this. And being humble, I burned these 2 lights out, and the customer told me. So these are all my mistakes, by the way, except for my buddy that burned up the generator. So I'm just trying to help you out. This is another one. These are like the little solar. They come on at dark or whatever lights. They're super fragile. Even the LED light that's on there. This house I watched, and the reason this one is important, I left it in here for this year, is because I did this job to take me 2 hours, and it took me an hour and a half just to wrap 8 lights on every corner of this house. So I just bombed that one, basically. But he never told me about the lights, so I guess I did something right. Talking about using tarps. They're just super easy. You can even put like these 5-ounce fish hooks or whatever, or fish ounces, weights, there we go, on the ends of them, on every corner, and that kind of keeps you from the wind from picking them up and blowing them off. Because I live in southeast Georgia, everybody has these Generac boxes. I just take one and throw it all the way over the Generac box and just let everything run down the side of it. I don't know how airtight or watertight those things are. Like I said in here, it's just super easy to use them. So I use them. I also use them for covering up plants. Or this might have been couch cushions. You can see I cover it up with this doorbell or whatever, but I use them if people got a bunch of furniture on their back porches or whatever and you don't want to take off 50 cushions. I pile them all up in the middle. I'll throw a tarp on them, and that usually gets the trick done. That's just another swing that I covered up. A bank that I did, I covered up. That's an ITN. You can actually talk to somebody on there. So I don't know what that thing would cost. This is the gas pump. This is a slide that I posted last year, and I don't know if Anthony's still in here. He literally called me out on this because I didn't put the tarp all the way down, so I left that in here for this purpose. This is how it should be done right here. You want to make sure when you throw it over those gas pumps that you run it completely down over these buttons. Otherwise, you're kind of defeating the purpose. You're gonna bypass. You're gonna miss all the stuff to do with the debit cards and all that, which is super expensive. But then this one right here, I goofed, and I didn't cover up the buttons right here. I didn't even notice that until last year. Anthony come up and told me that after I did this presentation. So, thank you, Anthony. This is the ceiling fans. What happened was I went from 4 gallons a minute to 8 gallons a minute, and I was pushing the spider webs across the ceiling, not thinking that I doubled my water flow, and I just flooded out fans. It ended up costing me, I bought all the fans and electrician. It was $1,100 on a $500 house, so it won't take long to hurt the old checkbook there. A lot of the times, they're indoor fans that are installed outside. They're outdoor fans that are not installed properly. They're all open receptacles, especially if you have these open rafters where they run the rafter down and they put the ceiling fan right on top. All that electrical stuff is exposed, and then this is just like a 55-gallon drum. I just cut a drum top. I cut a slice in it, and then I just slide them right over. You can literally just slide it right over and leave it. Sometimes I'll run a piece of tape down. If it's open like that, I'm trying to keep every little bit of water out of there, so I'm going to put another piece of tape in here just to completely block that water flow from in there. That's super cheap. I keep 5 of them on my truck, I think. And I just throw them wherever I can. So that's what it looks like there. These outdoor screened-in ports, this is the house that I wash twice a year. These are super tricky because of all these recessed lighting. This thing runs up here, which is exposed at the top. So they're all, the fans are always a little bit aggravating. This is the gazebo I did. Inside of here is Wi-Fi, TVs. I think I found a little kid in there hanging out. And then there's a fan right here that I think I just completely almost have to wrap that whole thing. But this is super tricky. We'll get into a little bit of plant protection now. I always just wet down the plants as much as I can before any application. Most of the time it's just me, but if you're cleaning a roof, it's always good to have a guy on the roof or on the ladder, and then always a guy just constantly rinsing. Outdoor temperatures always play a big role in. We were just talking earlier about how much better it is almost to work in the rain, so you don't have to worry about this as much, because those plants are just constantly getting rinsed if you're working in the rain. there's like mixed reviews on whether you use tarps or whether you need to use Tyvex or whatever. I'm not telling you to put the tarp on there and then come back 3 days later because you're going to find a bunch of dead plants. You're putting the tarp on there right before you put the application of bleach on. You're rinsing and then you're pulling the tarp off. Otherwise, you're going to deal with a plant that has went through heat exhaustion or the stress of being up under these hot tarps. It gets super hot in South Georgia, so it will be nothing but for these to be probably 150 degrees under there. So I'm not leaving them there the whole time I'm washing. I literally, even while I'm rinsing, I'll pull them off and then just rinse the plant down. And I've not had any issues with plants being burned up from that. I had a guy, a competitor where I live at swears that he don't use tarps because it's better for the plants, but I've never had an issue. This is just a little bit of what you'll see when you burn them up. This right here, all the foliage falling off. Somebody told me earlier that a lady cut the whole tree down after it was burned. This stuff will eventually grow back, but it's still kind of hard to explain to somebody after they just paid you to wash their house. Now they're going to have to look at dead plants for a week while their mother-in-law's coming over. This is another one. I don't think I can really take credit for these because I think this is a project that my buddy was on, and I just think that he didn't know what happened. He washes part-time and he didn't realize that you could burn them up this bad, just downstream. This is again some of his good work. Again, all of this stuff will generally grow back. You may have some issues that it completely just kills it out downright to just won't go back at all, but most of the time it'll grow right back. I think you sent me this tree. Just some round up looking stuff. Freaking wall's probably clean, but look at that. Again, this is the same thing. Burn these plants up. I can't take credit for any of this. This is not my work. I have done really great work like this, but I didn't. This is not my slides. And then again, you see like these electric heaters and then all of this stuff. I cover up all this stuff. And it's important when you're looking at the yards to just think about that. A lot of times, I'll look at a job and the house will take me an hour, but it may take me an hour to wrap the stuff. And so I always just tie that in. Of course, tie that into the cost. And this is, again, somebody else's work, but burnt these up, all these Indian hawthorns. I could probably guess they didn't cover up any of these. And I'm not saying like every camera, every light has to be covered up. That's going to be kind of like a game time decision and a risk of that. You may be willing to take or may not be willing to take, but if it just puts the thought in your mind to think about it, then I think that's probably a good idea. I don't do that either. Some ways that you can, of course, prevent that, and I talked about is the products. I'm not here to sell these products to you. I don't work for these people. I work for myself. I'm just telling you that I know these products work. Again, using the proper amount of bleach for every job, dialing these things in properly. I mean, that's probably set for me at like 0.5%, but I've got my soap turned up pretty good on that soap. Knowing the type of surface you clean, you certainly can clean a vinyl house much better than you can clean, or much quicker than you would clean stucco or hardy board. And I think we see a lot of paint issues in hardy board, which we'll get into that shortly. Don't you worry. Downstream is super good because it basically meters it for yourself. I haven't even talked to Judd this time, but I like Judd. I like his product. I like his customer service more than anything. And this thing is super easy to use. It's fairly cost efficient, and it can be kind of dumb like I am and operate it, so to speak. Using the right equipment, you can see somebody, get a little Zorro action in here. This was next to a house I was watching, but you can just see where they just come in here and took a few hacks at it, which they shouldn't even have been putting that much pressure on stucco, in my opinion, anyways. But that looks pretty bad. We gotta love the guy that always leaves the driveway like this. That's somebody for, I think that's your foot. That's your foot right there, too. Yeah. 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 So I can't even take this. I don't think this is nothing she did. This is just something she sent me on a project. This could certainly be a driveway that hasn't cured yet. You do have to keep that in mind, washing these driveways to make sure that you don't etch them. I think this is what happened here, and the process to get etching out of a driveway is super aggravating, but you can do it. But this is pretty neat artwork. Again, they just completely damaged the concrete right there. Again, use professional products. Don't run to Dollar General and buy the little stuff in the yellow thing. I don't know what the name of it is, but I'm not trying to get sued, but it's in the yellow thing and it's at Dollar General. I don't know what the name of it is. But it's awesome. It's not awesome, I will tell you that. This is what that caused, right, on that concrete. It's kind of hard to see in this one. I think, yeah, there you go, right there. That's what that product did to that concrete. Again, it's kind of hard to see in these slides, but it's kind of right here. You can see the discoloration between the two right there. All of these things that I showed you could have been preventable. It just takes the right amount of time, a little bit of investment of your time, or maybe a little bit of investment in these cheap products. Everything that I bought right here with the exception of that sign, I basically got on Amazon. If you don't know, ask somebody, do your research, read the label, reach out to the manufacturer. I mean, that is the good thing about this event. It's like you can talk directly to the EBC guy who made the formula, that made the stuff, and he's going to tell you everything, the ins and outs of all of it, the same way with NutriPod or any of the products. I'm pretty sure you can reach out to all the manufacturers. And then questions?
As far as the Generac, I have a lot of them in my area. You're covering multiple parts. They tend to be, they're white. They tend to be, not dirtier than the house. So the customers won't be washing as well, right?
Yeah.
Are you going back and clean them and you take the bar off?
With a hand, with like your little small zip, pump it like a hand sprayer, spray on the top of it, and just wipe it off. But yes, they do get super dirty. But again, that's just something for you to look at while you're there. Okay, this has got a generator. It's going to take me a little bit longer.
I didn't even think. I would just, hit the house, hit that, and just keep moving.
Yeah, and that works until it don't work. And if it don't work, you're going to probably say, "Oh." This is all my information right here. I'd love to talk shop with anybody. You can scan this code right here and put that is my direct information. That's my cell phone that has us live on Facebook over there. I'm down to talk shop with anybody. I'll pass any information I have along. If I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to probably reach out to Ryan because Ryan knows a lot of stuff. Right, Ryan?
Couple things.
Yeah.
I have a question. What's another solution that you have saved that doesn't hurt the environment?
Green ox. Yeah, green ox, and he's here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy that makes green ox.
Do you know the ratio?
I do, yeah. So I've diluted it 50-50 minimum depending on how bad the stain is. It is EPA approved as a safety product, so you can use it over water. I've done soap docs, and I'll go more into the green ox when I do my part. But no, that's the only other alternative that I've found. I know there's the Citrus Shield that is also eco-friendly, but that's like you leave on and it can take 3 to 4 weeks to work. And I don't know if I can say, hey, I just put this on your house, pay me, and, you know, call me in 4 weeks if it's still ugly, you know, I mean, I can't do that as a,
Would you still need to take or something like that?
yes.
Yes, because.
Yeah, because it's the water, it's more water.
Yes, yeah. Yes, a leach is a conductor of electricity, I think is the right word, if not. Yes, a conductor of electricity. So, yes, it is the conductor, but also the water. The water caused damage on the fans, it wasn't the bleach. The water can, because it's not necessarily, like I said, it's not the presence of water, it's the amount of water that you're putting on it.
I'll just help and join the bandwagon here. One surface area I did see on here is solar panels. So if you're laying down these things on the roof, how are you protecting the solar panels? Because again, conducting electricity.
I'm skipping that entire side of the house. 100%. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not doing anything with solar panels. If you have the pole fed system, then that's something, I think there's training for that through PWNA, how to avoid that. But for me, I'm 100%, I'm not going nowhere near, I might not even watch the entire house. Because I don't know nothing about
Thank you.
it. Huh?
If you're not prepared for it.
Yeah, sure, and I think y'all were talking about it last year, right? People burning them up.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I don't know enough about it, and certainly a $500 house wash isn't going to work.
It doesn't stop generating electricity even though it's shocking you.
So it's going to hurt you and the house at the same time.
Correct.
And for the record, we did put a tarp over the Japanese made pole.
Oh, yes. His customer cut down the Japanese maple that he burned up. It was coming back the next week, I promise. Anyways, if you see me around and you want to talk to me, I'm here. I'm always down to talk shop. If not, if you want to just take down my contact information if you run into a problem or question about anything to do with soft washing or lawn maintenance, I'm 100% always down to talk with anybody. Just don't call me at freaking 11 o'clock at night. I gotta do it like 9. So. Good.
Fix some cleaning it.
Gotcha.
Thanks, Princess.
Thank you, Jarrell. Hello? Okay, good. Now I have him do my technical stuff, and I'm talking about this. Give me a washer, I can do whatever I want to do, but this computer stuff's not for me. So, anybody heard the industry paint issue class before? I know you have. So just a few of you guys. So there's some new people here. It is very important. I've got a lot of guys saying that this isn't real. You use SH. Okay. Use too much SH, too hot of a mix. That is not the case. I've been testing this issue for over 15 years. I'll get into why I started doing it. So 15 years ago, after washing for years, we've been going to PWNA, we've been going to all these shows that we could go to learn and educate. We've got the newest equipment